Hey guys, so I am back again for another video, and something I get asked a lot here on YouTube as well as on Instagram is respiratory therapy right for me? So I thought I would give you guys a couple of different things to kind of think about that might help you make that decision. So first thing is, what do you want out of your career? Are you looking for a career where you can help people? Are you looking for, glory? Are you looking for money? Are you looking for I don't know. You have to figure out what you're looking for. Now, just because I said these things as what types of things someone might be looking for, that doesn't mean that's what you're going to find in this career. And we'll kind of talk about all of these things in just a few minutes. So if you like critical thinking, you like being creative, and you like helping people in need, that's a good start. These are all things that you're going to do in respiratory therapy. Every day you need to be critically thinking and figuring out what the best thing to do for your patient is, as well as sometimes, especially when you're working with children or neonates, we don't have equipment that perfectly fits their anatomy, so we have to be creative and figure out what to do to make these treatments or these things that we need to do work best for our patient. Something to think about, is there anything you can't handle? Do bodily fluids bother you? Mucus specifically, and secretions, because as a respiratory therapist you will be suctioning people, and there are many other professions where you will be asking people what color their mucus is and asking them to cough and then letting you look at it. So if things like that bother you, you need to find a way to get around your aversion to mucus, blood, any other bodily secretion you can think of. Now, you also need to figure out why you're doing this. Are you passionate about this area, or do you think it's just going to be easy because it's a 2-year degree to start? If that is your main reason to going into respiratory therapy, you're going to set yourself up for failure and you're going to be very disappointed. It's an extremely difficult degree and you are dealing with people's lives. So if the only reason you are going into this area is because you think it's easy, or maybe you think it's going to make a lot of money, which doesn't make the worst money, but it also doesn't make the best money. These are not things to focus on when you're going to make this your life's work and you're playing with people's lives at that point. That is not okay. You need to be passionate about this career. You need to understand what you're getting yourself into, and don't do it because someone else is trying to make you do it. If you don't want to do something and you don't feel passionate about it, or you're just kind of like, I don't know what else to do with myself, it might not be the best thing for you. Now, there have been cases, I do want to say, where I've met people whose parents made them go into that field, or they kind of needed a restart, and even though they weren't sure what respiratory therapy was, they ended up going into it and loving it. That's not always going to be the case. So I always suggest do your research and understand what you're getting into. Now, along with doing your research, something I suggest to most people is try talking to respiratory therapists in your area, whether that be from various schools, which sometimes that might not be the best idea because, of course, if they are teaching respiratory therapy, they may not tell you all of the pros and the cons. They may be more focused on the pros. So try to talk to people that are currently in the field and try to get a good mix, because you may find someone that is unhappy in their career and you don't want all of that negativity to affect your decision, but you also need to hear the good sides on both sides. So you need somebody that's been there for a long time and knows the ins and outs, positive and negative, and you need somebody that has also been there for a while and they still love their career. So if you can get both, just make sure you're not sticking to one or the other, so you get kind of like a well-rounded idea of what you're getting into. Some hospitals will allow you to shadow a respiratory therapist. I've heard that some areas they don't. So definitely check with any teaching facilities in your area, any teaching hospitals, and see if you can either shadow a respiratory therapist or maybe even just interview one. And you can say, hey, I want to do a career interview. I'm really interested in this area, but I don't know any respiratory therapists, and I just want to get to know somebody and get their opinion on how they feel about the career as a whole. So again, I'm going back to thinking that it's going to be an easy career and an easy program. Keep in mind, you are going to spend your whole life doing this, and even just the program itself, starting out with a 2-year degree, that whole 2 years is going to be completely dedicated to respiratory therapy, and you're going to have almost no free time, and what free time you do have, you're probably going to be studying or doing other things that are related to respiratory therapy. So you also need to make sure that once you do start working, that you understand that most places you're going to be working 12-hour shifts, And because it is in the healthcare industry, your patients come first. And what that means is that there are going to be days where you don't get a lunch, you don't get to sit down, you don't even get to go to the bathroom because so many things are happening and you're so focused on helping your patient that they come first. And you have to understand that that's not going to be an everyday occurrence. Sometimes it'll happen more often than not, but you have to understand that that is going to happen. So you need to be able to be on your feet 12 plus hours a day. You need to understand that there is going to be a lot of overtime as well, whether that is from, having a busy day and needing to finish charting or having something happen at the end of your shift. You can't just say, oh, it's time for me to go home, I'm gonna leave now, you guys can take care of this. No, because again, you are dealing with people's lives and you really need to understand this. I know it sounds silly, but there are so many people that I know that they understand that they will be helping people heal and they're going to be dealing with very sick and injured people, but they seem surprised sometimes once they finally realize that they can't just go, oh, my 12 hours is up, it's time to go home. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that. You're going to have long days. Even on clinical, I had some days that were over 12 hours, and that's just the way it goes. And again, even along with that overtime, sometimes you might get called in if they're short-staffed because, again, when you are dealing with very sick and injured people, you need to make sure that there are an adequate number of people to help care for them. So if someone calls out or an emergency happens where there's a large number of injured people coming in at once, you're probably going to get called in, and you can say no, but there are emergency situations and tragedies that happen where you are not allowed to say no. So you also need to be a team player. You're going to be working with so many other people. You're going to be working with doctors, nurses, x-ray technicians, radiologists, any medical profession you can think of. You're going to be working with them and you're all going to be working together for your patient. So if you're not a good team player, you either need to figure out how to become one and how to give constructive criticism in a respectful manner, because you do need to have the ability to speak up for yourself and your patients, because not everyone knows everything. So you need to, if you do see something incorrect that's happening, you need to know how to speak to someone in a respectful manner, but also get the point across that something needs to be done a different way. So again, it's working on those interpersonal skills a lot as well, and basically, those are the main things. But these are just a couple of ideas of things to think about before pursuing a degree in respiratory therapy. But if you guys have questions, leave them down in the comments below for me and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Or find me on Instagram, just breatheeasy_SRT. And I will talk to you guys next time.